Hello, welcome to the channel and to my very first Excel video. I thought I'd start off with something pretty basic, but it's also something that I use a lot at work. And that is, when it comes to common or static data and parameters, I like to store these inside tables on a central worksheet. But for the purpose of the video, I'm going to put everything on one sheet. So I'll have inputs on this side and parameters on this side. Now, in my experience, I have seen parameters hard-coded in formulas and scattered throughout the workbook. So when it comes time to update them, you need to modify all of those formulas. And while you can do a global find and replace, there is a slight risk that you modify a different metric which just happens to have the same value. So best put them all in a central worksheet and have your formulas point to that one instance of each parameter. So typically I see this done by having your data in just in cells like this. So you got states and population per state. No table being used here. Okay, and your drop down on this side will have a data validation list that points from this start state to the last one. And the lookup again will have specific from and to ranges. So it's looking for the selected state inside this range G5 to G9, and it returns the population H5 to H9. Now, if someone comes along and adds a new state, it will not be picked up unless, of course, you insert it within the existing range. Then Excel will automatically update the data validation list and the formula. So I'll just give you an example here. I'll add a new one to the end. And you can see that the state does not appear in the list. Okay, so now we need to go to the data validation list and update that to include it. But even though we now have the new state, we also need to modify the lookup. Okay, now if you have a number of lookups throughout the workbook that are referencing this data, you'll need to go and modify them all. So it's not dynamic. So what do we do about it? I like to use tables. If you've never used a table before, you just select the header and all the data, click on Insert menu up the top here, and then click Table. Now mine's grayed out because that is already a table. Once you click that, you'll get a little pop-up, click OK, and a new menu item called Table Design will appear up the top here next to Help. And this lets you customize the look and feel of the table. Now I like to turn off banded rows and the filter button. Also, give the table a meaningful name. Right? Now, the beauty with tables is you want to reference the data, you can just go equals, the table name, table states, and open the square bracket and select the column you want. And there you go. It returns all the rows, whether there's 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll return however many there are without even having to specify the actual from and to range. The other way you can do it is go equals and just select, and Excel will convert this into the table syntax for you. So in this drop down here, we are going to use this list. Okay, so we go to data validation list. Okay, and again, as you can see here, when it comes to data validation lists, Excel does not like the table syntax. It'll put in a from and to. Why use a table then, you might ask? Well, Excel is smart enough to realize it is part of a table, and so if you do add a row, it will automatically update that range for you. And the XLOOKUP as well, it's a similar thing, except it's using the table syntax. and Excel can convert that for you as you type it along. So I'll show you right here what we do. So we go equals X lookup, select the state, we select the column, and Excel has put the entire column name and the table, and we want to return the population. It does all the work for you there. And if we don't find it, we'll return 0 population. There you go. And just to show you how it is dynamic, I can come along and add a state. Now I've done that intentionally in lowercase for something else I'll show you in a few seconds. You see here, we have ACT, and it automatically picks up the population without having to have changed the address range in the drop-down list or in the formulas. However, I don't like the fact that these aren't sorted, and that's lowercase. Okay, I like to control what it looks like. So if you have someone else maintaining this list, I like to do a bit of massaging the data, let's say. And I do that with this formula here. So I do an upper, sort, and unique to remove any duplicates. And then again, I just select the column that I want to apply that to, and Excel will fill it out for you. So now we have ACT up the top and in capitals. Now this is a dynamic array, so the way you can reference it in formulas is equals, pick the first cell and the hash sign, hit enter, and there you go. So you can also apply that to the data validation list. Okay, and as you see, you might be able to see here, might be a bit small, but it's essentially the first cell with a hash sign. I have that doubled up. So you go first cell and the hash sign, hit enter, and then OK. And as you'll see here, ACT is up the top and it's in capital. Okay. And the lookup is exactly the same as the one before, except it's using the different drop-down list. And just to show you, I can add a duplicate. So New South Wales, and go, let's go 9 million. And it's ignoring that. So if you have a look here, you'll see there is only one New South Wales. And just to show you that it is actually looking at that row but ignoring it because it's doing a unique, I'll make it into New South Wales 2, and now it will appear. And as you see, it's automatically picked up its population there. So that's how we make dynamic lists here. It's very useful. Now you can also have this kind of parameter set up where you have a list of items. Again, we're going to work with states, and we might have a number of columns, so years over different periods. So we've got population over different time periods. Okay. And we can do a lookup of that table using this in these drop downs here. So the state uses the unique sorted one from up here, and the years actually use this list. Now, rather than hard coding a list from these headers, what we do is we use a formula to get the headers from the table and create a list from that. And that way you don't have to manually add another year if you add it to the table. Okay, and I'll show you what the formula is, but just to give you an example, if I add another year here to the table, it's automatically picked it up. Okay. So the way this works is it uses a filter to get the headers and exclude the states header. We don't want that one. So I'll just type it out for you. Equals filter. Right, we select the header row and we want to include, again, the header row that is not equal to the states one. So you just select the states column and Excel automatically puts in the syntax for you. All right, and if not found, return blank. Now this will return them horizontally. So I'd like to transpose them, make it vertical, and also sort them. Okay. Close the brackets, and there you go. So this is the same formula here. And again, this is a dynamic array, so you can reference it by selecting the first cell and a hash. So as you can imagine, this drop-down uses the first cell with a hash. Here we got G21 hash. Okay. So again, let's just add another year here. Let's put some data. We'll just make it a little bit different. And all right, so let's go to 2023, sorry, 2030. You can see 8.5 million, right? And let's go to Victoria. There you go. That's how you do lookup of these parameter tables with multiple columns. Now, one thing you can also do, so you don't have to, you don't want to have to repeat states. So if we got a list here of states, they automatically get sorted and unique. What you can do, you can make these into a drop down, and again have the data validation list point to the first unique one with a hash sign, and that way whenever you add a new state, so let's add another one here, let's call it test. All right, if I come into here, it's automatically added it here, so it's very, very flexible. Well, that pretty much wraps it all up. Thank you for watching, and if you found this useful, please hit the like button, and I'll see you on my next video.